Hey, welcome to the Sports Reverends podcast. My name is Dan.
And my name's Drew.
We're no experts, but we are
the Sports Reverends.
Hey, welcome to the Sports Reverends podcast. We got the full squad here today. We got Drew, Martin, and the coach with us. How you boys doing?
Well, it's not minus 40, so we'll take that to the bank.
Yeah, it almost felt warm today in Selkirk, but it was like minus 20.
Yeah.
Well, you guys are weird. You're just talking minus negative. No one knows what you guys are talking about outside of Winnipeg, okay? So stop it. We had Toronto was in a frenzy today because we had 5 centimeters of snow, and the city went to there's schools canceled for that. So I'll just put that in perspective.
I'll give you a quick story. I went to
Okay.
St. Louis for a branch manager's seminar. It snowed 2 inches. Whole city shut down for the entire weekend. All I saw of St. Louis was the hotel. That's it. No barbecue, no arches, just the hotel.
Isn't there only one big arch?
Yeah, but there's so much barbecue to eat in St. Louis.
Did you have to go to the Golden Arches?
No, you couldn't go anywhere. It was just hotel food. It was horrendous. Yeah, it sucked.
It sounds like shout out British Columbia. That's how they do there too. Hey, me and Drew know that. Well, let's get into some sports reverends quick hitter news. Kamaru Usman defeats Gilbert Burns in UFC 258.
Anthony Davis is out for 2 to 3 weeks with an Achilles injury. D'Angelo Russell is set for knee surgery, and he's going to be out for 4 to 6 weeks.
PSG defeats Barcelona 4-1. Liverpool defeats RB Leipzig 2-1. Whatever that means.
Former NFL wide receiver was found dead in his apartment. Vincent Jackson, he was 38.
5-star recruit Jalen Johnson opts out of the college season and enters the NBA draft. Before we go anywhere, let's hear a word from our sponsors.
Have you ever thought about how well your investments are performing? Have you wanted to understand how the stock market works and how you can look after your financial future, but have been unsure of where or even how to get started? Train to Invest is North America's leading investment education and training corporation with the sole purpose of providing a new way of thinking about wealth management. Through teaching, training, and coaching individuals in both the art and science of self-directed investing, Train to Invest offers a complete education and training experience to empower families to begin their journey of planning for future generations through investment education. To find out more, look at www.traintoinvest.com and download our free ebook. Again, www.train2invest.com to find more information about our program and download our free ebook.
And we are back, and it is all ball for this Sports Reverends podcast. Coach, why don't you take it away? And I know how Drew is so excited for all ball and not baseball. This is NBA. And if you can't see us, if you're listening in, because most of you are, Drew's putting up shots. He's putting up those
corner trays. Those lefty scoop layups.
He's reaching
them with the right hand side with the right hand.
Yeah.
I remember those days. Okay. We're going to start a mini series here. Looking at the top contenders in each conference. And while we didn't put the Pacers on here for obvious reasons.
They're not obvious reasons. I want to know why they're not on here.
Look at their record.
You missed last pot, Drew.
They're above the Celtics.
Debatable.
The Celtics are just on a bad streak right now.
They're above the Celtics.
You're going to have to look at it.
Jason Tatum is suffering from COVID. He just said it in the news.
Okay. Pacers are a dark horse. We'll come to them later. However, we're going to do a little mini series here. Top 4 teams in the East, top 4 teams in the West. We'll see what happens after the trade deadline. Maybe that might shift some things. Maybe a few records change.
Wait.
What
You're
now?
saying Pacers are a dark horse? Well, speaking of dark horses, we have to mention the Raptors because they just beat the Bucks. Okay,
No,
I
you
just,
gotta
No,
be above
you
500.
don't. You don't
Gotta
have
be
to
just
mention
have
the
to say
Raptors.
that they just
See?
beat the Bucks. All right, can
You
we just
don't
all
have to
be
mention the
excited about
Raptors.
that?
They're
For a second?
below the Knicks.
The Knicks are good.
No, they're
Oh,
not.
stop.
Julius
Stop.
Randle is a beast.
In a contract year, probably.
RJ Barrett might be one of the worst shooters other than Russell Westbrook.
Whoa,
And Lonzo
that's
Ball.
ridiculous. That's ridiculous. Stop it.
Anyways, with our Raptors shout out done for the day. 76ers, Bucks, Celtics, Nets each have a deficiency in our opinion. Sports Rev Daniel, start us off with the 76ers. If you had to pick one thing to make them better, put them to elite status, what would you do?
One thing to fix the 76ers is to add another guard. A guard, obviously, that can shoot, but also that can create his own and run the offense. I
It's like
think
Chris
that.
Paul.
Chris Paul sucks.
Thank you, Drew.
No,
Thank-
you guys are. No, I'm sticking by it.
We just
Sticking
lost about
by it.
18 followers because we said we're hating on Chris Paul again. But I'm saying you have to pair a guard like that with Ben Simmons. That would take them to the next level. I thought Seth Curry could maybe be that, but no, he'd be a great sixth man of the year. He's in a club of his own. He's actually in the 200 club, not the 180 club. He's in the 50 100 club. 50% from the field, 50% from behind the arc, and 100% from the line. Unheard of.
I feel like you just jinxed him there.
But he's the sixth man of the year. Well, you know what? He's got to play better. So,
He's been hit with COVID. Okay, give the guy a break.
all right. But that's what I would say. A guard for the Sixers would help them.
Drew, any words? What any thoughts from you about that? Any about the 76ers?
Yeah, they just need another shooter. That's what they. It's very rare to have a guy like Ben Simmons on your team that flat out refuses to shoot. And so when you have a guy like that, but that can penetrate, and then you need four guys that can knock down threes, and I don't know, like, do you really trust any of these guys taking shots?
Tobias Harris, yes.
Yeah, he's been hit or miss. He's not worth max money.
That's absolutely correct.
You know what I heard the other day? I was actually listening to a podcast and they were talking about what if the 76ers, instead of Markelle Fultz, drafted Jason Tatum.
Oh yeah.
My
I think
God.
me and Coach were talking about that actually too,
Yeah.
the other day. But
That would have been unfair.
Yeah, that would be probably one of the best big threes, maybe the best big three in the game right now.
Yeah. That'd be,
Anyways, yeah, a shooter. That's what they need. They got the size, and they got solid players, but
Embiid's
you can always use more shooting.
Yeah.
That's fair. I'm gonna go in the opposite direction. I'm gonna say because of Embiid's conditioning, you need a quality big man.
Dwight Howard.
As much as I love Dwight Howard, D12 should not be leaving the station. He should be at home. He got his ring. I saw a quote or that Dwight Howard and Ben Simmons are out there shooting hoops together, and you really don't want Dwight Howard teaching Ben Simmons how to shoot.
Doc Rivers said that.
Yeah,
Their
Yeah.
coach.
Who's teaching
So-
who out there?
yeah, that's the real question. So for me, in my opinion, I think Embiid has been playing out of his mind, and if he can continue and sustain that, great. But if you give a quality big man, 20, 25 minutes, that gives Embiid so much time to just relax, gather his breath, eat a donut or two, and go crush it on the court. So I think for me, the shooting is definitely a big thing, and I feel it's easier to get shooting out there than it is to find a quality big man, but who can give you some real minutes off the bench. That's what I think that's where their biggest impact's going to be. I think come playoff time, you'll have Seth coming back full form, and he was just going to open up way more lanes than before. And I don't know. I think he can be a quality ball handler. Right?
He was in the 210 club, I think, 2 weeks ago, where he was at 60% from 2 and 50% over 3. But
so that's just some he just has to get healthy, and that's going to open up a lot of things, right? Because if he's spreading the floor, you can have Simmons and Tobias attacking. You have Embiid in the paint. It's a lot of paint congestion, but you expect Toby to hit the mid-range game. You expect Seth to hit them some outside stuff, right? So should open up. But
I will say you don't have to change much on the Sixers. I think if Embiid performs like he does, I wouldn't want to mess with them in the playoffs.
I think he's one of the few guys Anthony Davis is going to have a tough time guarding.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. He'll just bully him.
Yeah. But then granted, Anthony Davis could probably just sidestep him with a couple quick moves.
It's true.
Get him foul trouble. Anyways, so 76ers. All right. What about our good friend Giannis and the Bucks? What do you guys think they need on that team?
I think they need a good, to see Bobby Portis off the bench for them and providing quality minutes and buckets. That's been huge. I think he'll play a big role in the playoffs. But if they had a center that could actually, score other than open 3-pointers like Brook Lopez bombs, that would be deadly for them. But I don't know. It's not much out there.
I like Brook Lopez.
Yeah, I'm not sure why you're hating on Brook Lopez.
I think he's a quality center. He plays.
Can't score in the paint.
He's always been a good defender. You don't need him to score in the
paint. But
he
literally can't score in the paint.
You don't need him to score in the paint.
What? I think if the Bucks had a guy who could get his own basket in the paint, that would open up so much for them.
I disagree with your Brook Lopez assessment. The guy can score in the paint.
How?
He can. Look what he did with the Nets. He averaged double.
Look at Brook Lopez now. He can barely get off the ground.
Drew, is it okay if I go second? Because I got a hot take here. My decision for the Bucks, get a new coach. I think the system's flawed.
Ooh.
Look at Budenholzer in Atlanta. He had 4 All-Stars on that team because of the system, which was great. I'm not really sure in a world where Kyle Korver is an All-Star that competition's that great. Nothing against Kyle Korver, but the dude can just shoot. He can't play defense, can't do anything else. But
no offense, but he sucks.
You look at their system, it has never won anything in the playoffs. Atlanta flamed out early. The Bucks have flamed out early year after year after year. So it's not, I think if you change the system or you bring in a coach who has multiple systems, because in the playoffs, it slows down a lot. You can't just expect your defense to just steal the ball, go and dunk, run transition. It doesn't work like that. It's a whole different season, a whole different animal. And Budenholzer has shown in time and time and time again, he's unwilling or unable to adapt. And that's going to kill you in the playoffs.
It's like the Raptors moving on from Dwayne Casey.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So either Budenholzer finds a new offensive system or they find a different coach. But I do not think this team, as is going to win a championship anytime soon. And they're just going to waste Giannis's best years, in my opinion. So that's my hot take, because I know Brook Lopez can score in the paint. I know they have guys who can do more than just spot up for threes. Right? Even if you move Brook Lopez to the free throw line and let Giannis just run cuts through all that, he's a good enough passer to do that. Good enough to set screens, create mismatches. You got to worry about the pick and pops. He's a versatile big man. Yeah, he's not going to score, 20, 25 points a game, but he's not getting that many looks. So I don't know.
Okay, Drew, come on,
he's
speak
a
up.
coach. It's gonna be a whole different story.
I think for me, like I like their starting five. I like Bobby Portis off the bench. What I don't like is all their backup guards that they have. I guess playing Bryn Forbes 18 minutes a game doesn't sound like a winning strategy for me. Or DJ Augustine like 5-6 years ago would have excited me. That's not a guy you want as your backup point guard. Drew Holiday's been awesome this year, but you need a guy that can come relieve him, like give you 16, 18, 20 minutes off the bench.
Yeah.
Consistently.
So I don't know where that backup point guard type player is that can come in, like,
or even if they found a point guard and moved Drew Holiday to the 2 and then just kind of rotated them when they're off
you didn't have
each
to
other.
start DiVincenzo, because
Yeah.
DiVincenzo would be a great 6-man, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Even
And
Pat
even
Connaughton.
Connaughton's
Pat
not
Connaughton
bad.
is depth piece, right? He's
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I like the Bucks though. I think they have a great shot at winning the East. I'm not as down on them as you, Coach, but
we'll see, man. We'll see.
Drew, do you have the Bucks going far or what?
Yeah.
I got the Bucks in my Eastern Conference final at least.
It all depends how it shakes out 1-8 at the end of the season, because
Miami be a tough out for them.
Yeah, like if they get up to the number one, and Miami's at 10 right now.
Mm-hmm.
Like if it's 1-8 Milwaukee, Miami, like
Oof.
Miami's proven that they're a tough out for Milwaukee.
Uh-huh.
Because
and
even the Raptors,
and Miami's been injured the whole year.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Jimmy Butler hasn't played many games.
Butler's been balling since he's been back.
Yeah.
So that's a real sleeper team. Let's get serious. But
yeah.
Okay, next up, Coach. Let's move it along.
Celtics. Good old Boston.
Drew.
What?
I'll go first.
They need a center.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I thought Tristan Thompson was gonna fix their woes, but
he's terrible.
I drafted him in my fantasy on somebody's advice, and he just sucks.
Their best center is Daniel Tice,
which is ridiculous. Like I thought Thompson would have at least averaged a double-double, even if it was 10 and 10. But
He's been hurt, but production-wise, he hasn't been great.
No, and he's not a defensive anchor at all. They need a defensive anchor more than anything.
Yeah. Because you have the scoring. You have the scoring on the wings. I'm also going to go a bit contrarian to you guys. I'd say they need a healthy Kemba Walker.
Oh yeah.
It just seems like the story with Kemba is he's always hurt, out 3 to 4 weeks, out 1 to 2 weeks with something, and he needs to be healthy, and this team will click, because when he's healthy, playing defense and distributing the ball, Brown and Tatum are just gonna fly.
They need Marcus Smart healthy too.
Yeah. I don't think he's as integral of a piece as Kemba. You know what I mean? Like
defensively is.
Yeah, he can be. We saw in the playoffs last year.
He balled out last year.
And if he can continue to hit those threes and play good defense, great. But I think for the Celtics to really be a contender, a real title contender, Kemba Walker has to play well, because he will be the linchpin that breaks down defenses, draws fouls, puts guys in good places to score.
He's definitely taken a step back with his scoring prowess since
which is to be understandable, because Charlotte had nobody.
Yeah. But he was just deadly. He was deadly as a bucket getter. Right now he's more like getting there, but showing flashes of it, not consistent.
Yeah, it's because he's hurt.
Yeah.
That's my opinion.
Okay.
I think that was a pretty easy one.
Where do you guys have the Celtics landing? That's where we should say.
Ooh, I think that's a tough one. I think they finished second in the Atlantic. So probably I want to say top 4.
You have them finishing above Brooklyn or Philly?
No, I think Philly wins the division. then Celtics.
So you have them above Brooklyn.
Yes.
They keep making KD miss games, so
What do you guys think? Where do you like?
I
I
don't
have
really
them
care.
finishing right where they are.
Where are
Fifth.
they right now?
Fifth.
Yeah,
Ooh.
honestly, I don't really care about the regular season.
But I tell you, if they have to play Indy first round, that's tough.
They'll beat them 4-1.
Okay. I don't know about 4-1.
Book it.
Look at Indy's starting five. Like,
Trash.
Oh,
my
come
goodness.
on. That's ridiculous.
The only good player is Domantas Sabonis
Malcolm Brogdon.
and Malcolm Brogdon.
Honestly.
That's it.
Anyways,
Even Brogdon's like good.
Brogdon's really good.
if they re-signed Brogdon instead of letting him go, the Bucks would have no issues whatsoever.
Yes.
Yeah. They'd be fine.
No. If they re-signed but they would still need Drew Holiday because Bledsoe is a joke.
But Brogdon would cover up a lot of those mistakes.
He's really fast.
Like Brogdon, okay, letting Brogdon go to a division rival blows my mind.
Yeah.
Instead of just paying a little bit of tax. Anyways, side story. Well, we'll come to that a different day. We'll do a breakdown of the Pacers one time. Last team in the East we're going to take a look at. Good old Brooklyn.
Brooklyn is absolutely filthy when their big three is on. The best offense of all time, but worst defense, which is really pretty.
Do they ever play together, all three of those guys? Or
Twice. It feels like twice or three times.
They were
like,
about to.
Even when they're all playing like in the game, I don't think they're on the floor all that much altogether.
Yeah. Whatever I watched, whenever they are on, it's like impossible to guard them. So,
yeah, it's a small sample size for sure.
I think they have two big problems. They don't have a defensive anchor and they don't have any depth. They traded all that away.
Yep, and you had to get Harden. Right?
Yeah.
Well, you can't just get Harden for free.
I still have them winning the East.
Oh boy. Do you want to go, Drew?
In response to that, like,
Or just in response to what you think about the Nets?
I don't know. This team, it's way too top heavy. Like Jeff Green in the starting lineup every game, DeAndre Jordan, like that's not gonna win you games. Those two guys are terrible. I don't want to see Tyler Johnson on the floor ever. If you have Tyler Johnson on the floor during a game, you're gonna lose.
You're in trouble, yeah.
They're talking about a few of these centers being bought out before the deadline.
I think that's the kind of route they have to go, is the buyout market. Because you nailed it on the head. Both of you guys did. They have no depth, and they have no one who plays defense on this team.
They got rid of Jared Allen. Like he was playing unreal.
Yeah, but you had to give up something to get Harden. Right? That's the rub, right? And
remember Spencer Dinwiddie got hurt. So if they had him,
that would be a huge off the bench. Like him and Schumpert coming off the bench. Great. It would be great.
Yeah, Schumpert will be a nice is he playing yet, or
I don't think so. I think he's still in COVID protocol.
Yeah, so he'll be a nice addition.
Yeah. But I think losing Jared Allen was huge.
Mm-hmm.
There's going to be a bunch of centers coming on the buyout market that they can pick up. It's just a matter of, do they trade for somebody or do they sign somebody? They can't trade for anybody. They have no assets.
You have to give Steve Nash some credit. He's been dealing with like all these egos and all these egos missing games on top of that, and they're playing well.
I guess so. Well, James is now the point guard because Kyrie said so.
Pretty sure Kyrie. Yeah, I don't know.
Here's the thing. I think trade Kyrie. I think we talked about this before, Daniel.
Mm-hmm.
Trade Kyrie. Just get him out of there. I think with Kevin and James, some decent point guard and some depth, you wrap that East up no problem.
What do you get with Kyrie for Kyrie?
Whew, that's a tough one. You don't see a lot of trades big for small. You try and trade, Kyrie for it. It's hard. It's hard. His salary's huge. He's got a bad rep around the league, I would think. The guy can flat out score, but he's just that nutcase.
Would you trade him for like Sacramento for De'Aaron Fox and one of their bigs, Rashawn Holmes?
I think that's a good
Or like Harrison Barnes.
I think they try and if Sacramento was to take Kyrie, they would definitely try and hook Harrison Barnes in there in that trade.
Yeah.
Right, because they want to get rid of the contract. It's tough because the centers around the league that are already established, you don't want to give up. Like, you're not giving up Jokic, right? In the West, you're not giving up AD for Kyrie.
John Collins, Rajon Rondo, Bogdanovich. You can't pair Kyrie and Trey together. That's ridiculous.
No, that would be awful. That'd be awful. Yeah, because John Collins might be on the block as well. But
so I guess this brings us to like the next section, unless there's anything else to add to the Nets.
I don't think so.
Griffin, Drummond. I guess that's technically not the next section. I was just talking about possible buyouts is what I was thinking of.
Well, yeah, Griffin, Drummond. You probably have JaVale McGee, right? It's hard to say who's going to be bought out because teams might be hesitant to get rid of depth so early.
Yeah.
It's only mid-February. We haven't even hit the All-Star break yet. I think the trade deadline is the 15th of March. 15th or 19th or something like that.
Yeah, I think 15th, March 7th is All-Star weekend, I think.
Yeah, so we got a month before anything major was going to happen. And I don't expect anything to happen before then. The whole James Harden trade fiasco only occurred because James was pouty and didn't want to do anything. Right? So I think we'll have to wait and see closer to the trade deadline what happens. Because once the trade deadline comes, you're going to see a lot of buyouts. I would expect McGee to get bought out because in Cleveland they're stacking up with Jared Allen. Drummond's probably going to get bought out because he's in the last year of his contract and no one's going to trade for him because it's huge. Griffin is probably going to get bought out as well. I don't see why you would want to trade for Griffin given his injury history and the fact that he has, I think, $36 million this year and $38 million next year.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Which is a lot of money. I'm really not sure what Detroit was thinking when they made that trade. Who else is a buyout contract potentially? Can't we think of too many guys making big? Kevin Love might be a guy who gets bought out as well. So that's 3 bigs out of Cleveland who might be gone.
And the Lakers are going to be so salivating over them too because who knows how long AD is going to be out.
And they need depth at the center position too.
Yeah.
Right. So
they got Harrell and Gasol, but
Gasol, I mean, he's a smart player, but he's gonna give you like 10 minutes.
Yeah. At this point in his career, Harrell is undersized. And because you saw the market for him, he signed for a very small contract theoretically. Yeah.
Right. So
all right. We got a fun topic coming up. Let's hear a word from our sponsors. And I got some quote to give you guys from Draymond Green going into our topic.
Samara & Jane is an Australian-based accessories retailer with all of the latest fashion trends from around the world. Ladies, update your style game with gorgeous earrings, necklaces, and other jewelry for affordable prices. And guys, you can shop for that special lady in your life too. Use discount code SPORTSREV30 for 30% off your entire order. That's SPORTSREV30 for 30% off your entire order. Use discount code at checkout at samaraandjane.com.
Welcome back. Now, this quote from Draymond Green, complaining, telling the world is treat us with respect. That's Draymond Green's big quote to the world and to the Coach. Can you take us further into this conversation?
Man, so this is actually a really complicated topic because you're looking at players' rights versus business rights versus holding, people down and not being eligible to work, and perception. It really all boils down to perception. The whole issue is teams have shut down Blake Griffin and Andre Drummond, saying they're going to hold them out because they're trying to find a trade for them. And Draymond was upset because if a player was to say, I want to be traded, if a player was to say, I'm sitting out, there's such a double standard by the league. And so it's an interesting dichotomy that we have here, because from a team's perspective, if you're trying to trade one of these guys, you don't want them to get hurt and ruin your chance to get traded. If you're a player, you don't want to have a reputation as being a cancer in the locker room, or you want a chance to showcase your skills to be traded. So it's kind of like who's right, who's wrong, and then you throw in the fact that if you make the league look bad, they're gonna fine you. Like how many times has Draymond said stuff, or even Dennis Rodman and his antics, or things like that, run our test. Anybody who makes the league look bad by speaking out, they're gonna get fined. Look, you can't even say, like, Trae Young questioned a call the other day, was pretty upset about it, and he got fined $20,000.
Wow.
So there's a lot of moving pieces in this, and
his was a little different. Trae Young's.
Yeah, I think Draymond brings up some good points, but also he's wrong in the sense that teams are not sitting these guys because against their wishes. Like, from everything that's been put out to the media, Drummond and Griffin and their agents have said, okay, makes sense. Let's sit them down while you try and find a trade. So it's not like they want to play and the teams aren't letting them. Which would be a different story, but it's mutual.
Drew, why don't you weigh in first? Because this is actually happening around. It's been happening more and more in the NFL, and it's even seeping into some of the other sports as well, as some hockey and baseball players are trying to force their way out of their situations. Why don't you weigh in first?
Yeah, I find it super annoying that players are given this much control over where they want to play and where they like it's not like back in the day guys get drafted by a team and they play for that team. Like that's how it used to go. Like it was very rare to see guys that wanted to go somewhere else. It was actually like a badge of honor, like to say that I played for one team my whole career, like Derek Jeter, like I am a Yankee, right? Like it's frustrating for me because it really hurts the smaller market teams, I feel. Because these are the markets that can't afford to keep these players. So they have to build through the draft, but once they're done with their contracts, they're gone forever. And so we're never going to see an equal playing field, really. It's like these smaller market teams are basically minor league teams for the big clubs like the Lakers and this, like the teams that can afford. It's kind of like the Yankees were in the 90s, right? Like
yeah.
Like, and if you watch Moneyball, like Oakland talked about how we're just a farm team for the Yankees. Like they'll come in and buy all the players that are going to make it big. But now we see players trying to force their way out of contracts and they want to play with certain guys. And it's just annoying to me. It feels like a bunch of divas. But that's just how I feel.
Can I just jump in here real quick?
Do it.
Yeah. I agree with you. And no one put a gun to your head to sign that 5-year, $200 million deal, right? You decide to sign that. Now, if you have reservations about the team and where they're going, you can't be greedy and expect to sign the contract you want, right? And as a small market team, like just look at the Bucks. If they lost Giannis, what would they have? Middleton and a bunch of nobodies, right? And so they have to offer Giannis that big deal. But in just using Giannis as a use case, he could easily have said, okay, that's fine. I'm going to leave some money on the table, some years on the table, give you 3 years to figure it out, and then we'll see where we go from there. Or versus Harden, who signs this huge contract and decides, halfway into it, he doesn't want to do that. If any one of us in quote unquote regular day jobs decided that, I'm not feeling my wage structure right now, I'm going to sit out until you pay me, you're getting a pink slip and you're done. Right. And I'm not against player empowerment and where you want to play and all that stuff, but you can't have all this decision-making power and none of the blame. If you eat up 25% of the salary cap, whose fault is it that your team can't go and get all the good players that they want, right? Or if you, like in the case of the Clippers, they have to give up tons of draft capital to get Paul George. If Paul George doesn't resign because of the 2 bad years, well, who gets hurt the most? Paul's still going to get paid somewhere. The Clippers now have no draft capital to rebuild. So you nailed it on the head. It's like you can't be greedy and expect to have your cake and eat it too. It just doesn't work that way, right? It's a business relationship. And I know as fans, we get tied to the emotional aspects. Like when Laine got traded, there's an emotional aspect to that because he was, a Winnipeg player. But there's a business side to this that both the players and the team have to look into this and be like, you signed this 5-year contract. You could have negotiated something else. We can't do X, Y, and Z because of what you're doing. And so that's the part that gets glossed over a lot, I believe. And a lot of people who don't think about that are just like, oh, the players are greedy, or, oh, the teams are greedy. They're both greedy. Everybody's greedy. You can't blame. I don't blame somebody for trying to get as much as they can, but you got to work with your partners here to make sure you put the best product on the table.
Yeah. It's not exactly the same, but it's sort of like in the Jordan documentary with Scottie Pippen, right? Like he signed that deal, and then all of a sudden, oh, that deal doesn't look so good anymore. I want out, but Reinsdorf, or whatever his name is,
yeah,
he's like, I don't want to hear from you again. Like, you signed a contract, that's your contract.
And if Scottie had blown out his knee,
right,
he'd still get paid all that money.
Yeah,
right. So it all boils down to perception and who's spinning the story and how. Like I'll give you another example: the All-Star game. Right, LeBron's come out against it. Giannis has come out against it. All these guys have come out against playing.
And a bunch of nobodies come out against it that will never make the All-Star game. Sorry, go ahead, continue.
No, sorry. I know I'm dominating the conversation, but these guys have come out against the All-Star game, the faces of the league, but the Players Association is still negotiating with the NBA to make this happen. And why? Because of money. There's contracts, bonuses that are in there for players who make the All-Star game. Right? But these guys don't want to play. They're already playing a condensed schedule. I mean, LeBron and most of the Lakers only stopped playing basketball a few months before everything started. So what's the point? And you still have COVID, right? So
I'll speak to the All-Star game. I don't know what LeBron is complaining about. He's the vice president of the Players Association.
I know.
So like, what does Chris Paul just go behind his back and say, "Okay, NBA, let's have this All-Star game"? Like, no, that doesn't happen. Yeah. That's no way. LeBron doesn't check his emails or something like that.
LeBron's one of the biggest hypocrites out there. Let's be honest.
And like the debate, well, the thing is, use the example of everyday jobs. Well, everyday jobs, what do people do? What do teachers and nurses do? They protest, or they go to their union, right?
For those who have unions, yeah.
This is what the NBA players, I think there is a way to do it. If there really isn't a solution. If it doesn't make sense for me for Andre Drummond and Blake Griffin to be playing those games, because it's not going to help the Cavs, it's not going to help the Pistons. They got to move on to their younger players, but they got to get better at the same time. So I think there's got to be a healthy way to do this, right? You don't throw your team under the bus as a player by saying I want to trade, because then your team's not going to get the same. You lose so much. What do you call it? Value when your players demanding a trade.
Here's the thing, though. Like, what did Houston get for Harden? They got quite a lot, and he was saying from day one that he didn't want to play there.
Yeah, but then they probably could have got more, and it was messy, right?
I agree.
But from his point of view, it's like would they have traded him if he didn't get messy? And from the team's point of view, is would they get the value if he didn't open up and say that, right?
I think regardless, he would have been traded before March. You know,
maybe
I think so, because if you're Houston, you know he does not want to be there.
Yeah,
but you want to showcase the guy's worth.
I just think there should be a level of professionalism on both ends.
100%.
Do it behind scenes. Like, how hard is that, right? And I agree with you guys. I know I'm trying to be a little contrarian, but I totally agree with you guys. Honor your contract. You signed it, right? Figure it out with the management to get your teams to where you're at.
I think we need to eliminate all these like guys signing these contracts. We know that they're not gonna, like, we know at the beginning of the contract, they're not gonna play out this contract.
Yeah.
Well, see, the thing, there's a big difference between the NFL and other sports is that a lot of the NFL contracts, like we talked about, Mahomes' contract isn't a ton, not all of it's guaranteed.
Less than 2.
Yeah, but in the NBA, they're 100% guaranteed.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So they have that leverage because there's only 12, 15 guys on the court or on a team. They have that leverage to say, I don't want to be here, trade me. Right? Whereas, like, if you look at the Rams and the Lions, what's the repercussions? They basically just have cap crunches for a year, but they got the quarterbacks they wanted, theoretically. Sort of. You know what I mean? Like, it's still different in the NFL.
Yeah, NFL's, that's why the Deshaun Watson thing is totally different than any of the NBA guys.
Because your cap penalty, trading a guy first or second year of their contract is ridiculous.
Wow. Yeah. But I think you're absolutely right, Daniel. It has to be done professionally. And that's just good for the sport. It's good for the fans. It's good for kids who are looking up to you as a role model. Not that necessarily you should be using athletes, but people idolize idolize athletes. And so if your brand is all about me, which seems to be Kyrie Irving, just for example, or LeBron James, that really doesn't put a good posture out there for the league either.
It does. It should be a wake-up call to the front offices, though, because if you have a guy who's worth $100 million and is playing like it, and he doesn't want to be around you, maybe you have to reevaluate. Maybe it'll make some more competition and things like that, because, I'll give players that, right? Like, they obviously have a reason why they don't want to be there.
Who wants to go to New York? Who wants to go to Sacramento? Like, you don't. Like, you take the check because slots are limited in the NBA. But if I'm a guy coming out of college and I know I'm gonna get drafted by Sacramento, I can't be too pumped about that. Organization or even T-Wolves. Like, there's teams out there which are dysfunctional for a reason.
Yeah. Right?
And you want to go to a team with a strong front office, like the Raptors, the Spurs, the Lakers for sure now.
The Heat,
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Celtics, yeah. But you don't want to go to like these gong show of places. Like when RJ Barrett got drafted by the Knicks, I was like, ooh.
His career is done.
Yeah. And then he got Tom Thibodeau as a coach.
Yeah.
Not great.
40 minutes a game. Every game.
For veterans only. So I think you're right. It's got to be professional. Gotta be a wake up call for the front offices. If you're
Drew's right. He said they're all divas. Stop. Everyone's got to stop being divas. That's what it is. Enough with it.
well,
I don't want to hear about it.
you have 10 slots in your paycheck.
Exactly.
Well,
No.
I know this would never happen, but it's almost like across all sports, they need to limit years on contracts. Like
Mhm.
limit it to 3 years. Because these 7, 8, 9, 10-year contracts, like Mike Trout signing 10 years or whatever it was, he's not going to be in Anaheim for 10 years. Like,
But he's one of the few who actually might perform for that whole contract.
yeah, like he'll perform for the whole contract, but he's not going to be there the whole contract.
Yeah.
The Yankees are going to come in and pay for it at some point.
It's about time. He's got to get out of there.
Yeah.
But I think it's not. I think for Draymond just tie it all back in. For Draymond to say there's a double standard, and not recognize that there's also the players pushing the double standard, is a bit naive, and it's just a nice little soundbite for Draymond.
The thing I thought about for like, isn't this like sort of a boy cried wolf situation with Draymond?
Yeah.
Like he complains about everything. So even if he has a good quote or whatever, like no one's gonna take it seriously.
Well, it's made all the headlines, right? So,
True.
well, boys, that's a wrap. Drew's hitting the layup. That's how he shoots his layups. Let's wrap it up. Maybe this next week, we'll have a pod and a live game if you guys are up for it. Sports Reverends live. I'm calling it next week. We're gonna pick a game. We're gonna commentate it. That's gonna be hilarious.
Pacers.
No one wants to. No one. The Pacers won't even be on TV, Drew.
Let's get the Jokic. I want to watch Jokic.
That's a late game for you though.
Yeah,
That's true. You're gonna have to drink a mug of coffee or something.
They played in Boston today. That's pretty early.
All right, let's wrap it up. Drew, tell us about something on the social medias.
Yeah, check us out on social medias. Facebook, Instagram. Are we still on Twitter? Is that a thing?
We are on Twitter. Maybe it'll get more active. We actually just signed up for TikTok.
Oh, nice.
And our TikTok, our one video, has blown up. I don't know how TikTok works, but there's 1,700 views on the TikTok video. The video was of Kobe choosing the Super Bowl champions. And he went and chose the Buccaneers, and the videos of me yelling at him because we don't cheer for Tom Brady in this house.
You put a cute dog on things, works every time.
Our TikTok will be of Drew's babies and Kobe.
Perfect.
Done.
Exploit the children. Wonderful.
I know we should get mom's cooking in there too.
Ooh,
Some butter chicken.
We have a very diverse range of TikTok.
Butter chicken, Kobe, and babies. Woo! Peace out, world.
Peace.